Welcome everybody to another episode of Now Hear This. Today I have none other than Travisty, the lazy MC, joining us this evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Most def, man. Peace. Yo, appreciate you let me be a part.
No doubt we want to talk a little bit about your early beginnings and what you have going on in 2025. You got a new single out, Come Around. We're going to get to that. But before we do that, let's go back in time and get to know Travisty. Where were you born and raised?
I moved around a lot as a kid, but we found pretty much a home in South Florida, anywhere from like the Miami to the Lake Worth area. We moved around a lot. I traveled down there in like probably like sixth grade, and then my dad was always in the restaurants and shit, so we were always on to the next, trying to get the restaurant to hit or whatever, and we were always just moving around from there. So I've been in New York, North Carolina, Maryland, but then we found that Florida back up and north a few times. But for the most part, since about sixth grade, I've been down in the South Florida area until recently.
Okay. About South Florida area growing up, teenage years.
Oh man, it was dope. It as a kid, it's one season, it's summer pretty much. You get winters, whatever, but so it's 24/7. You can always be outside. Obviously, as a kid, I was into basketball, any type of sport, basketball, football, of course, hip hop. But it was good as a kid. We just I had like the neighborhood appeal, the neighborhood aspect of when I grew up. So there was a lot of families in my neighborhood, so a lot of kids, and whether this mom's throwing a party, so everyone's down there and down. So it was dope, and a lot of fellowship, and it was a good mix for a long time. While I was still living with my mom and everything, and then you move on to different areas and stuff. But South Florida was dope growing up, man. Really cool, really cool.
Right. What were some of your musical influences around this time? You said you were part of getting into hip hop. Talk.
Probably two of the groups that really. I'm not a big. I love all hip hop. I'm a big East Coast guy, but probably like two of the first was around. It was probably really early '90s, probably like between I'm thinking like '92, '93. But it was Wu-Tang and Dog Pound were the first two groups that kind of. And my man put me on the Dog Pound. He was just playing it, and I was like, this is kind of dope. I was always into sports and we listened to music, but that was the first time I was like, who is this? And it was Dog Pound and then Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang blew my mind, and that was I think when I got that first Wu-Tang, I just spent hours trying to figure out whose voice was who. Who's this? Which cat is this? Which cat is this? To now it's like I hear that shit. You already know.
That was the fun part of the days, man. Trying to figure out, is that Dirty? Is that You God?
Right. Yeah, looking in the track listings, and especially before, now you see them on your social media, you can see the face to the name and all that. But then it's kind of like, this sounds like it might be RZA. This sounds like it might, if you didn't have that, I guess the box or any of those things tapping you into to some of those videos, especially as a young kid in Florida. You know what I mean?
Right. At what point did you start to get into hip hop yourself? Whether it was DJing, emceeing. At what point, what year did Travisty start to pursue it?
I'm gonna say like probably like 98, 99 is when I started freestyling with like the homies, and never taking anything seriously till probably about the mid 2000s, because then I had asked, we had connections to get in a couple. It was just I was around more folks. It was kind of like the end of high school, getting into college area, and I was going to community college, but I was there. I was there trying to do something, but I didn't know what I want to do. It was mostly just to probably just keep rapping, meeting people, and talking to girls and stuff. So I wasn't as focused, but my man had to connect to his studio, and we used to always play ball at night. And then after we leave that, everyone would get in the parking lot and cypher and stuff. And there was a couple cats that were really nice. So the ones who would come together, we kind of just gravitated together and started hanging a little more and stuff. And one of them had a connection to a studio that wasn't too far away, and we kind of started from there. And we're lucky it was like the scene in South Florida, especially for the underground hip hop, that there's a few staples in there that continue to push the scene of the underground scene. So there was always shows and going on, and we got lucky and met a couple of the heads, and we kind of just got into shows and started going from there. Like we probably only had about like 7 or 8 songs we actually recorded till we started doing our first show, and it was like, but it was dope, and it showed, they showed mad love, and it was kind of fell into it. We got lucky. I think just meeting it was a cat named Lex One. He actually runs he has a podcast for collectors online. He's gonna hate me. Super dope podcast. He has an ill collection just like yourself.
Right.
But he was throwing shows at a local spot called Roxanne's, and we got to get on that spot, and it was just just kept the momentum from there, type of thing.
Right. What was the name of the crew earlier on? And was the plan to go solo, or was everything a crew clique type of situation early on?
Always crew clique. I wanted a big collective like the Wu-Tang type of shit, and back in it kind of evolved into that to some degree, where it was almost like BCC I felt like boot camp to me, where we had a bunch of collective of different MCs, but we came together and kicked it every night. Everyone's on other cheap people's projects or supposed to be, or whatnot, and it was more fun than business in that aspect. But there was a lot of dope MCs. Knowledge Medina used to come. He was a dope battle MC out of Florida. Rex out of Boston, super dope rapper, family. He used to come through. A bunch of South Florida staple like MCs in the underground, and it was just a dope time that we used to do. But our early name was well, it still is. It really just me and my man's Joker, but it's the Benchwarmers Clique. That's the collective of us. We used to have a DJ Yachts. He's still family. He stays in Atlanta now. But there was a group of probably like 6 or 7 of us that would all come to. We called the studio Dish Rag. Everyone came through, and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'd be there till like 3, 4 in the morning, just making music, having fun, barbecues, whatnot, and it was just it made the music good, I think, because of the people, together. And even the cats who weren't there all the time, they felt like the fellowship coming around. It was just a good place. It made me think of like, I don't know, like a lyricist lounge type of thing, all that type of days, you know what I mean? But it was really fun back then. But cats grew older, grew apart, and all that throughout the years.
Right. So the Benchwarmers was formed back then, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had I think we probably started it probably in it was like maybe 06, 07. And we had a couple like mixtapes back in the Dot Piff days and stuff, but some nice records on there, but really wasn't up to par because we were still evolving, finding our sound, I think we were nice off the top, and we were nice like kicking it, but understanding like we were doing everything in house. So, we had to learn to create the songs, the bridges, the hooks, and put everything together to make it, not just, sound amateur. So there was a lot of dope records on there, but definitely some early stuff. So our first major release as the Bench became Adventures in 8-Bits, which I think was around like 2013 when it finally dropped down here.
What was that reaction like when it hit the streets?
That was great because that was our first project down here that was really popping. We had like a theme for it, and also by that time, we even though we didn't have projects out, just like a lot of local MCs down here, we just rocked mad shows. So the local scene knew us. One of our good friends, H2 Owens, he's a big staple down in South Florida throwing shows. Vice City Cypher is his crew. They throw tons of shit. They just had KRS-One and Rex, them in another spot called Addicted Affairs, DJ Heron. They're big, bringing down groups down to South Florida, like official names, and bringing the local scene a part of that, to give everyone a place to shine and and do their thing. And we were lucky at that time. H was a part of us, and H is always a part of it. He's family. I always got records with him, but he put on we had a dope hour release party themed out, Nintendos and all that stuff. We had Nintendo chains. It was a nice turnout. It was probably a good, you know, we're a small time group, but there's probably a good, I feel like 300 or 400 folks in the building. It was packed out. A lot of local rappers, a lot of local love, a lot of dope talent in the building. It was the fellowship, and that's what it's about to me. You know what I mean? The respect and love type of shit from just dope MCs and people showing respect for the music type of shit.
Right. What was after 8-bit, and what did you guys learn? You said you was trying to formulate songs and, you know, learn your way. Talk a little bit about trials and errors, and you know, you're going into your next project.
Sure. So I guess in that stage, 8-bit was the first project I feel we created a project. The first, we had a couple, like we had a joint called So Official, like, and we had another one called Back in the Bench, but those were more like the mixtape type of days, where I feel it was just a collective of songs we kind of just put out, and we just wanted to get music kind of out. But not everything was up to par. We should have cut some stuff down off there, but 8-bits, we work with a British producer. His name's Jube. He's amazing. He's not a beat maker. To me, he's a producer because he makes the beat. We work together. You know, we you know, he lets us do our thing, and then when we send it back to him, who knows what the beat's going to sound like afterwards. Now he keeps the sample, but the things he adds to it, and you know, he brings the record out. And I think that's super dope to work with him. And he's family with the Bench and myself to this day. But I think the things we learned were just we just needed to focus on the project. We were always all over the place, and Jube was kind of like, hey, you know, we've talked about this theme of putting a project out, and we kind of we did one joint off the 8-bit. The first 8-bit song we did was a joint called Bomberman, and that's actually featuring an Rex out of Boston. We have a video for it online and stuff. That was a fun joint, but it was dope. And we were like, you know, he had like 3 or 4 more, and we started doing it. And we didn't want to cliche or gimmicky, and I think it was just good music at the time. And we just kept building on it, but also making sure the sounds fit. It was cohesive. And I think that's the main thing is, I don't think every album has to have a theme of some sort, but I just think the music has to be cohesive. And a lot of times I like to work with single producers, but when I don't, I want that sound, you know, I don't want it to sound like all over the place, you know. If you're going for a certain theme, that record, I think that's what you kind of got to stick with, but you know, give a little piece of everything to somebody, but you know, maintain that core sound that you're known for type of thing. I think that's what we kind of did, is we found our voice.
What was the next project after 8-bit?
After 8-bits, we did we recorded a project called Smooth Box Cutter. It came out years later, but that was the next project we put together with a crew called 1914, and I think it's a 10-song or 9-song EP. But same thing, it's a lot of soul samples in there. 1914 and Jube are pretty much the core of the Benchwarmers sound throughout the years. It was either most of our music back, it's probably released, is produced by either one of those Jube's a single, but 1914's a crew of two producers. But Smooth Box Cutter we actually released that late, I think, out here in like 2019. We ended up releasing it in the local scene, and it got a lot of love because after 8-bits, you know, we were still putting out music, small stuff here and there, doing local shows. But my man Joker ended up having 3 kids. You know, we just got into relationships and still having fun. The thing is, we needed to still focus our business and put the projects out. And I feel we're amazing artists on our hard drive. Like I probably have like 6 more solo albums in the stash easy on my hard drive, and my focus is I just need to release and get those out, especially while my man Joker's he's dealing with some personal stuff right now, but that's still family. But you know, I'm still pushing Bench and myself, you know.
Right. What was the feedback like on that project?
Smooth Box Cutter got a lot of love. Honestly, it was great because that was like our resurgence kind of to the cats in the scene who kind of knew us. And you know, we had one of the main records off there was called Smooth Box Cutter, and it got a lot of love. We got we were lucky to get to spin by Premier Static, spin some of our records. He spinned another joint off there called Fish. DJ Premier spinned a record called R-Type featuring our homies Alphanumerics, and we formed a group with them over the years. But so we got a lot of love, and it was great because 8 bits was a great album, but it's 8 bits. This is where you can kind of hear like, okay, this is the sound that I should know this group for, because that's a themed album, but that's not the Benchwarmers sound, So it was dope to get this out and people being like, okay, word, dope. Very Ninth Wonder appeal to the beats, but not Ninth Wonder. It's 1914. I mean that in saying they're inspired by that, maybe the soul sounds, but totally different.
Right. You said that particular project dropped 2019. The box cutter, you say was.
Yeah.
So where did you find yourself in 2020? The pandemic hits. What's going on with Travisty, the Lazy Emcee at this time?
So that's kind of when the pandemic hit, and I'm always recording, and Jokes is always doing too. And we're always together recording every weekend. But as we got families and kids now and all that, we were still beating up. It just wasn't that much. But I was always recording. He was always adding on himself, but I'm just a little quicker with that. So while he was dealing with some personal issues, that's when I started working on a project called Reminisce 90s Shit. And that was kind of my first shot at the music I love, to kind of make something like, I never want to be solo. And that's why I released it. It's Benchwarmers, or it's Benchwarmers featuring Travisty, or Travisty featuring Benchwarmers, because that's us. But that was where I could just pick my sound and say, what do I want to make? And I just started making a couple joints here and there and just went with it. It wasn't planned, but I just had time on my hands. But I was like, let me start just reaching out to other producers. And I wanted to make that 90s sound. I always sit here and watch these videos and love watching these dudes on the MPC SPs and the amazing stuff they do, and that sound. So that's kind of what I went for beat-wise on there. And it was fun. I was able to record that and kind of get my own element and put something together. I was reluctant still releasing it, but Joe was still listening to everything I'm doing, and he's kind of like, yo, man, this is dope. Let's keep it moving, keep pushing, and he's always been behind me repping even from the background. So he'll listen to everything everything I do, and he has the nod and whatnot. So I took that time to just kind of focus on putting that project together and putting it out. I had like 2 other solos already sitting there, but once I started hearing it, I was like, I don't know, I just felt right, and I kept it moving with that 90s project.
Right.